One of the most well-known aspects of Sonic the Hedgehog alongside speed and attitude is his music. Even from his origins on the Genesis, his games were already having bangers with Green Hill, Starlight, the boss theme, and that trend would continue into his other games, with it being pushed even further with his 3D entries. No matter the game, you can trust that the soundtrack is going to be a banger. All the tracks may not be equal, but at least one of them is going to be stuck in your head and you'll identify that track with the game. The only exception I can think of is like Sonic Boom. I don't remember anything from them. Even if you never played certain games, you most likely heard the tracks in different forms. A lot of Sonic music is remixed and reused for future games, and you can find some in the video linked down below. With the vast amount of albums and soundtracks out to list for free, you have to ask, which one's the most underrated? Obviously, this is subjective depending on how much the average Sonic fan knows. It could be Sonic 06, which actually people know the soundtrack is godly, so I guess it's off the table. It could maybe be one of the Game Gear titles, but the audio quality for those kind of unless they've been remixed in modern day or in fan remixes. Not to say they're bad, they're still good. But I'm gonna take this chance to talk about a Sonic soundtrack I personally don't see talked about, and that soundtrack is Sonic 3D Blast, the Saturn version. When Sonic 3D Blast was being developed for the Genesis, due to Sonic Extreme being taken out, Sega wanted Traveler Tales to port the game to the Sega Saturn. This would lead to many drastic changes thanks to new hardware, including improved graphics, new special stages, and of course, new soundtrack. The Genesis version was composed by a group of 5 people, with the only one you'll really notice being Jun Snow, who you might know for his contribution to the 3D games. In fact, some of the tracks in the Genesis version were remixed for the adventure games. The Genesis version seems to be more memorable / better to the Saturn version for maybe the reason I stated earlier, and also the fact that more people were likely to own a Genesis than the Sega Saturn. Just a hunch. The Genesis version is good though. The tracks are groovy, and the thing is, I'm more used to the modern versions where they don't feel limited by the Genesis sound font. Despite that though, it's incredible what they did with what they had. Some of the tracks definitely sound like they're from the Genesis, but others have those moments where it's like, how'd they get this sound this console? I definitely recommend binging a playlist of it to understand what they were able to cram to this game. I mean, they even had to cram the intro because of how much space it took. Like, damn, this game is on its last legs. Now, the Saturn version was composed by just one dude, Richard Jakes. Now, he's worked on a ton of Sonic games, but his original start was here on the Sega Saturn, and damn, what a first impression. Now, obviously, he's working with the Saturn, so the music gets a bit more power to shine here. And by that, I mean like actual instruments. Now, I gotta preface this before you notice almost immediately, but I do not know music terms. I usually listen to something and think, that was pretty good. And I know that means my opinion doesn't matter that much compared to someone who actually knows what the heck they're talking about, but I love this soundtrack and I want to let others know how good it is. And also I'm kind of bored, so let's talk about this. Starting with Green Grove, it begins with a groovy beat that has the feeling of shaking around like the start of a party. Then as we continue, the notes start rising higher, and one thing I love about music is tapping myself to the faster part of the beat, if you know what I mean. More instruments start rising until we reach this segment where the notes seem to last like a spiral. Whenever I hear this part, I always imagine the special stages where you keep running and running until you finally reach the finish mark, and the song matches up with that adrenaline as well. Towards the end of the song, we get the sudden twist where the notes go high and then go low like a back and forth motion. Then that piano, it's everywhere in this game and I love it. You'll be seeing more of it later. Also, this little segment right here is so good, and the reason why I love it is because it's used by a Sonic fan game known as Sonic Before the Sequel. so bizarre, but it's made the track more memorable to me. On to Act 2. Now this is the song that inspired me to make this video. It genuinely had me moving around, and I immediately put in my video ideas chat. Listen to the piano. This celebratory type of theme is like, nice job of being Act 1. Now for your reward, you get to listen to this. I mentioned how there was a back and forth motion to Green Grove, and it's here as well, but it's not the notes going higher or lower, it's ending quickly and ending slowly. After that beautiful segment, we get a groove similar to Act 1 but with more instruments, including trumpets that come in for small moments. Once again, the song really heats up when the notes start going higher with that damn piano! The ending is when it hits the maximum amount of groove despite the notes slowing down in speed. So what a start. Green Grove is so beautiful, makes me get my ass up and start moving. But now we move on to Rusty Ruins, and it takes a different approach. Instead of being all mellow and joyful, it decides to pierce your heart. Oh yeah, also if you know some songs sounding similar in terms of notes, there is a reason for that, but I'm going to keep it a secret. I don't have much to say about Rusty Ruins, both Act 1 and 2. It's not bad, but the feeling it gives me is somber, emotional, like you're reflecting on something or looking at something for one last time before you have to move on. It feels like you're in a room and left to wander your own thoughts. Even though these two tracks are wildly different in tone, they still provide me with so much emotion. Go on to the next track, damn it! Do you like the piano? If you do, then you're gonna love Spring Stadium Zone. This is something straight out of a casino or a bar where a dude starts jamming out on the piano like his rent is due. Something you'd hear in a montage of Las Vegas with a bunch of gambling. Hey, stop raising the volume, I can't speak. What the fuck? Who let this man in the studio? I expect good things from you. Okay, this one's really funny. So Act 1 is this casino type music that soothes you in. What does Act 2 give you? I think this comment just sums it up perfectly. But also, can we talk about how drastically different all of these songs sound? Green Grove, get my ass moving. Rusty Ruins, I'm thinking about everything that's happened in my life. Spring Stadium Act 1, I am hypnotized by this piano and I too would be stuck in a casino if this was playing. And Act 2 makes me seem like a clown. Why are you trusting my emotions like this? Back to something that's gonna make me emotional in a good way, we have Diamond Dust. And one word is all I have to say. Christmas. I'm gonna be real, I wish Christmas felt like the song cause I've lost my jolly spirit over the years. I wish I could have a moment where I close and open my eyes, see Santa Claus riding his sleigh in the sky and be reminded that life is still full of magic. Hold up, is that Sonic? Act 2 retains that holiday feel, but it feels like the anticipation towards Christmas-related activities. Like you're about to go on a holiday trip with your family, you're packing your stuff, and you're about to go on an adventure that will be with you for the decades to come. Towards the end of the song, it feels like your Christmas trip is over, but right before it's all over, you get that one gift you've always wanted, and then you look in the sky and Santa Claus is there to make sure you have the most wonderful time of the year. The beat keeps repeating as you start to leave. As you know, this is definitely something that isn't going to be gone from your head for a very long time. Santa does exist, right? Are you feeling comfortable? Well, get up, it's a war zone, Volcano Valley. People say it sounds like a mobile game soundtrack, and I hate the fact that it does. It gives me such Fire Emblem vibes and reminds you how seriously dangerous this situation is. And if you don't do anything, those birds are going to die. When it reaches those higher notes, it's like you're pushing on even with the fallen soldiers that were totally with you earlier. Yeah, I'm just thinking Fire Emblem right now. Act 2 still retains that Fire Emblem feel, but it's like you're journeying towards the final boss of your entire team, and they're all saying their last quotes before they'll probably get killed because I suck at strategy. Well, in terms of music variety, we've had so much. Celebrating, reminiscing, the feeling of gambling and failing, Christmas, JRPG. What do we have next in Gene Gadget Zone? Techno music. That's a new one. Also, that damn piano. Richard loves that piano so much, and honestly, I do too. I would listen to a full 10-minute solo of just a piano. It adds so much to everything and is so distinctly heard in a way. The techno aspect adds so much to the stage as well, considering this is Eggman's literal fortress. This type of techno-futuristic music fits in perfectly and reminds you of the danger that's lurking within. Panic Puppet gives off the same vibe as Gene Gadget while still retaining that same piano. Considering the zone falls right after Gene Gadget, it makes sense for the tone of the music to stay the same. You're getting deeper in, and there's no going back now. Now, before we get to the ending, we do have some other tracks we need to get to, starting with the special stage. This beat is so groovy and has that push and pull motion applied to the max like we're on a roller coaster. And just like with Jake's other songs, once it reaches those higher notes, the piano is in. That is so much fun. I haven't played Sonic Free Blast, but you know damn well when I do, I'm gonna be jamming out to this. My opinion still matters after saying that, right? Moving on to the boss theme, I don't really have much to say. They're pretty solid and very scary. Like, you should be scared of this dude. He's gonna kill you. It's kind of like Sonic CD actually. You can make a point to show how similar these soundtracks are. The final boss theme is essentially the same as the regular boss theme, but raised higher with more of that damn piano. It feels like desperation. It feels like an actual final fight and that both sides are putting everything on the line to end it all once and for all, except not really. Now then, we've gone through most of the soundtrack. Is there anything I'm actually missing? Oh, right, the title theme. It's actually pretty good. This title theme actually serves as a motif to almost all of the songs in the game. See if you can notice it. I've put some of it in the video. That's the secret, by the way. But, that seems to be it. What is that sound?
I was trapped inside for so very long. How could things turn out so wrong? You came along to save the day. I knew that it would be okay. My knight in shining armor.
What am I listening to? Why is it good? Why do I want to sing it? Okay, what the hell just happened? The game ends with this cheesy ass 90s love song that I absolutely love. I do not care if it's old. I do not care if the lyrics are cheesy or make you cringe. This song is so good and I'm blasting this whenever I can. And it fits so perfectly into the game. Every track starting from the title theme has had a motif that is in reference to the song. It's like Deltarune, and when you beat chapter 1, you get that lyrical song that has notes from tracks you've heard in the game.
And the shadows start to grow, and the places that you know seem like fantasy.
If you're curious on why this sort of cheesy love track suddenly appears, then it's best to know Richard Jacques composed for another game. That game being... Yep, and if you listen to Sonic R's soundtrack, you should immediately know it's Richard Jacques' work. And I'm gonna say it, I love the Sonic R soundtrack. It's weird that we got 2 Sonic games in the Saturn that have 90s love songs. It's crazy, but I love it. A common complaint about the soundtrack is that it doesn't sound like Sonic music, especially compared to the Genesis version, and I can understand that completely. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the Genesis tracks were used in future Sonic games, most likely because it fit the Sonic style, or the fact it was modernized made it the Sonic style, so when we look back, we see the original version as more Sonic-esque music because of future entries. if that makes sense. Ultimately, I don't mind that the Saturn version isn't Sonic-esque music, and I think what people mean by that is that it's groovy and always has a beat you can jam to. Even when it's emotional, it still retains the grooviness, like Wave Ocean in Sonic 06. That's obviously a generalization, by the way. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. With Sonic 3D Blast on the Saturn, it doesn't abide by those rules. Its music goes in all different directions regardless if it sounds like Sonic. It can sound like Sonic sometimes, like with Green Grove, but sometimes it can take it in a completely different direction like Spring Stadium. That level of diversity is amazing, and with Sonic's over 30-year history, it's okay for some soundtracks to deviate from what is expected. Now, have I gotten your attention and you now like the soundtrack? No? Well, screw you. I achieved my mission of talking about this game's soundtrack, and now I can rest peacefully for 100 years before I get resurrected. Well, see you next week. I'm out of here. Also, I'm never doing any of that goofy stuff again. They're still there. I haven't moved them, so I took the photos. They're so cute together. Oh my goodness.